Thank you very much for being here today. You're in for a treat today, and so pleased to be able to welcome you to this forum. Today is a continuation of our Grounded and Growing series that we are engaging in throughout 2023, 2024. And it really is my honor to welcome Coach Bob McKillop, the longtime coach of Davidson College men's basketball team. Coach McKillop, as many of you know, enjoyed a very successful career on the court. And for me, at least as importantly, if not more importantly, a successful career off the court. As you probably know, he is well known for recognizing talent and for developing successful teams. His win-loss record on the court is extraordinary, and he alone was able to spot the unique talent of a 17-year-old from Charlotte named Steph Curry, and aren't we glad he did? Although we're not sure whether you taught him that night-night move or not, but you might have. I don't know. I want to say this though, is that he also recognized other talent, not just in players and character, not just in players. But when he came to Davidson, he came under the tutelage and under the hiring of a man named Dr. John Kirkendall. And John Kirkendall was raised in the shadow of the pulpit here at Covenant. John Kirkendall and his family sat in our West Transept nearly every Sunday. And with Dr. Kirkendall and others setting the tone at Davidson, the coach not only led a successful team, he joined a successful team that was deeply rooted in some important Christian values. I've heard him suggest a number of times that those values are intrinsic to their success. So we're in for a treat today. We're very, very glad to have you here and for you to share your thoughts and to continue us as we try to ground ourselves in Christian values and faith. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you. How can we remain grounded in our faith in such difficult, challenging times? I must confess, that's the story of my life. And let me begin with gratitude. Thanks to Bob for the introduction and for inviting me. Thanks to Grace, who facilitated me being here. Thanks to you, Gaither, who's helped me so much in setting this up. But thanks to you. And you may say, why am I thanking you? Well, first, let's talk about gratitude. When you give somebody gratitude, I feel good about that. I feel good when I say thanks. How do you feel when you get that gift? Don't you feel good about it? That's kind of one of the building blocks of leadership, but it's kind of one of the building blocks of life. And I find us sometimes in our current culture losing sight of the value of gratitude. The legendary coach of Princeton, Pete Carrill, used to always have the saying, when you help somebody, you help yourself. So I set a screen, you're going to get open. I'm helping them, but I'm also going to get myself open. I say thank you, I'm helping you, but I'm also helping me. Isn't it incredible how the parallels exist between basketball and life? Basketball is life. And you know, this is how you've helped me get better. I've got notes. I've read these notes. I've researched. I've revisited them. I've reinforced what they mean to me. So by you being here, you have made me reinforce the values that I feel are so vital to my life. You know, thank you. You also reminded me of things that have happened in my life. Those of you who are familiar with Davidson, when Stephen left Davidson back in 2009, Stephen sent this to all of our fans. He sent this postcard to our fans. What junior in college sends a postcard to fans thanking them for the opportunity to play and represent them? That's Stephen Curry. So by you being here, you reminded me of that great story. Draft night in the green room in Madison Square Garden, national TV, Sonia Curry held a sign on the table, on camera, "Thank you, Davidson." Gratitude. So in my expectation for today, I said to myself, let me coach these guys. This is our locker room. Now, I'm no expert on anything. Nothing. I have no special ingredients. I have no secret formula. I have no magic. I've been a father for 43 years. I've been a spouse for 50 years. I've been a coach for 50 years. I've been a grandfather for 12 years. I'm still learning, and I've made a lot of mistakes. You know, I lost 380 games coaching at Davidson College. That's a lot of mistakes. Have you ever failed? You ever been denied a promotion? Told you're not good enough? Left off that golf team? Didn't get the invite to that very big social event in your neighborhood? You ever failed? That's pretty tough to fail. But that's our life today. We're so involved. We have so many opportunities to do things. We also set ourselves up to fail. And that's what being a coach is. But you know what? You're all coaches. You're coach grandfather. You're coach spouse. You're coach husband. You're coach father. In your role, in whatever life you have, you're a coach. That's what you do. It's not just basketball, it's life. And you have the opportunity to influence, to impact. At the airport, and I'm there quite a bit, you're on that electric walkway and you're trying to catch a flight. And there's somebody on the electric walkway with their bag here, and they're not standing to the right, and they're standing in front of you. Time. You want to see your grandchildren play soccer, and you got something to do with your business, but you're not able to get to see your grandchildren play soccer. Time. Time is so valuable. What a gift it is. You can make more money, but you can't make more time. When you give your time to somebody, just like when you give gratitude, how powerful is that? You know, the essence of love is what we give of ourselves to others. That's the essence of love. I've been in many magical places throughout the world, and a sunset, a beautiful piazza, a great looking beach, mountains with look sculptured. And I say as I'm at these locations, geez, I wish Kathy, my wife, was with me. I want to share that experience. So you know how I show her love? I take a photo and I say, I wish you were with me, thinking about you. You see, time and love are two of the greatest gifts that we can give to people, just like gratitude. And if you're a coach, if you give gratitude, if you give time, if you give love, boy, you got a nice box of gifts you're giving people. And what's interesting about time and love, they're the two greatest gifts that God has given us. But they're also the two greatest gifts he wants back from us. Time and love. If I could live my life over, I would give more time and I would give more love. So today, I'm here to serve you. Forgive me if I tread on any theological landmines. I'm a Roman Catholic. The snakes and the devils are going to come crawling out. I just drive in a different car. Maybe my road signs are in a different language. But I think we could be in accord and agreement that Jesus has shown us the roadway and pointed us to a destination, and we all agree where that is. So that's where we are today, in this locker room, learning about basketball. In order to coach, you must first coach yourself. And when you coach yourself, I caution you, there's going to be demons. There's going to be distractions. And what you have to do, you have to limit your distractions. You have to somehow counteract those demons. Guy makes an unbelievable shot against us, we lose the game. Referee, you make a really stinky call and we lose the game. You miss your foul shots and we lose the game. There are so many things that could go wrong that cause you to lose a game. Well, that's the same way in life. But the more you handle those challenges, the better you get at it. The more you coach, the better you become a coach. So let me share these lessons of the locker room of coaching, my lessons that maybe can help you. And maybe the parallel between my life and your life is very distinct. You can see that parallel. It may be a business, it may be a law firm, it may be in the household. But there are parallels. And I'm going to undress myself. I'm going to share my heart and my soul. And I ask you to open your heart and your mind. And I may even shed some tears. But, I see this sign up here. Children are a gift from the Lord. Tears are also a gift from God. When you cry, you see, that's God telling you, I'm touching your heart, brother. That's what tears really are. The world we live in today, despite all the anxiety, despite all the apprehension, despite all of the conflict, we live in a world of dreams. We've grown up in that world of dreams. And I can very easily say this, which I don't often say to many audiences. All of us were born at a time, or most of us were born at a time, when there wasn't a man on the moon. How many people today in our world have never lived a day in their life in which there wasn't a man on the moon? Remember Flash Gordon? I never thought there'd be a man on the moon, but that was a dream to us. And could you never forget the 1980 Olympics when the miracle on ice occurred? The United States wins the gold medal in ice hockey. A black man in the White House. A time of dreams. A young, frail, skinny, baby-faced boy becomes the best player in the NBA. So we live in this time of dreams. And as we live in this time of dreams, I'm really big into images. I think images just give us TV. You have photos in your house. You have photos on your desk. How many times do you stop and look at that photo that's on your desk? How many times do you walk in the hallway of your house or in the dining room of your house and you look at that photo of your family? And usually there are times of great joy, a remembrance. But how many times do you really stop and look at that image and have that reinvigorated in your life? Images. Powerful. I think when you look at our lives, I'll give you this image. I was always using images with our players. This was our calendar, our preseason calendar of 2003, 2004. And I wanted to give our guys an image about what we were going to do that season. So I took them into Lake Norman on 11 o'clock on a Saturday morning, made them put their uniforms on. That's the last thing guys want to do on a Saturday morning, let me tell you. And I made them get into a canoe. And I took a picture of them in a canoe, and that became our photo for the year. That became our poster for the year. And they're looking at me like, what, is he nuts? But it hung throughout town and all the stores, and it hung in our locker room, and it hung all parts of campus. They're in this canoe. But think about what the canoe is. There's someone at the front who's leading, who's directing, pointing out the obstacles, when we're going to pull over to the side to get refreshments, when we're going to pull over to the side to sleep, relax, get reinvigorated. And then everyone's got a paddle. And the canoe will move to our destination if I lead it in the right way, but it's not going to get there if someone is not paddling. We got 12 guys paddling and 3 aren't paddling. We're not as fast as we can be. And then there are some knuckleheads that not only aren't paddling, they have their paddle out of the water, but they just let it hang in the water, and it slows us down even more. And then, geez, you know that I should be in the starting lineup. I don't like my seat in the canoe. I'm going to get up and get to the front of the canoe. What happens there? The canoe tips over. You see, we live in a canoe in our lives. And I made this the image for our guys, and they grasped it. Well, let me tell you the image I had in my life. I'd wake up every morning, Queens, New York, in 1950s, and I'd run down to the kitchen table and get the daily news and see and look and read about Mickey Mantle. I wanted to be Mickey Mantle. I wanted to play center field for the New York Yankees. Unfortunately, the Yankees didn't know who I was.
Me neither.
Then I wanted to be Bill Bradley playing for the Knicks in Madison Square Garden. Dreams. And you know what? I entered coaching and teaching. I never dreamed about being a coach. I never dreamed about teaching history. It just happened. How many of your careers just happened? It just happened. So I'm teaching them coaching, and I can impact lives. I can impact people. And all of a sudden I say, hey, I like this. But then the demons struck. You know, we were winning games. I had great players, great assistant coaches. We're winning. Holy Trinity High School, Long Island Lutheran High School. I mean, we're winning big. Everyone's telling me how good we are, what a great coach you are. You can coach here, you can coach there. I started believing it. And I made the remarkable move from Long Island Lutheran High School to Davidson College, Division I. Of course, I'm a genius. I walked to Davidson with this magic wand. I was going to wave that magic wand and revisit those dreams back in Madison Square Garden, coaching the Knicks, or maybe in the Big East. Maybe I couldn't get a uniform, but I'll be the coach on the sideline. I'll be there. That was my dream. That was my magic. Boy, the arrogance. That's the demon that faces us every day. And I lived with that demon. And in that first year, our record was 4-24. Second year, our record was 9-19. Third year, 11-17. After year one, we're 4-24. You know, we didn't have very good players. That coach, he didn't leave me good players. He got fired because he didn't have good players. And I gotta coach these guys now? Second year, that dean of admissions, he just won't let anybody get into school. The vice president of finance gives me no money for the budget. Third year, Matt Doherty, he's not detailed enough. My assistant coaches, they just don't do it. He's not in the office. He's on a golf course instead of being in the office. You see, I blamed everybody and everything. I blamed the players. I blamed the administration. I blamed my staff. Eventually, after that third year, I'm entering the fourth year of my contract, and boom, I'm ready to get cut, ready to get fired. We don't win that fourth year, I'm gone. Started blaming myself. Started understanding, hey, coach yourself. And the most remarkable thing happened, and I swear this was God's wisdom. We have our family in Myrtle Beach, and maybe it was May or June of 1992, and I picked up a book, and I don't know, I didn't go down there to read this book. I didn't even think about this book. It just happened to be in my bag. It was a championship season, Notre Dame football, 1988, written by Lou Holtz. And they won the national championship that year. And the opening page of the book, at the opening meeting, Lou Holtz asked his players, can you be trusted to do your best? Can you be committed to doing your best? Will you care about each other? And will you show that you care? Very simple questions. And he said, if you answer those three questions in the affirmative, I guarantee you we will be champions. And then I read the rest of the book and they became champions, but I never read those three words again. Trust, commitment, care. I made a determination at that time that I was going to coach myself to represent those three words, to answer those three words in the affirmative, and then carry that forward with my team. And you know, when you think about it, those three words, Micah 6, act justly, love tenderly, walk humbly with your God. Trust, commitment, and care, right there. You look at Steph Curry when he was at Davidson College, he had one tattoo. He had TCC on his wrist right here. And he proudly shows that to everyone he sees today. TCC. Trust, commitment, and care. So that was the magic potion that I uncovered, that I discovered, that God gave to me. Let me talk about those three words: trust, commitment, and care. You got to be detailed about things. Do you realize that in Super Bowl 26, Marv Levy is the coach of the Buffalo Bills. And Marv Levy devises these two great opening plays for Thurman Thomas. So he's going to run these two plays and going to set the game on fire. They're going to score very easily, very quickly, and set the tone for the game. Harry Connick sings the national anthem. And in the commotion to get Harry Connick on the field to sing the national anthem, the cheerleaders are cleaning the sideline. And they took Thurman Thomas's helmet and put it somewhere. So Thurman Thomas starts the game and he goes to the sideline to get his helmet, and he can't get in the game because he didn't have a helmet. So Thurman Thomas isn't on the field. Those two plays went for nothing. Details. See, when you coach yourself, you got to be detailed. You know, in 2007, 2008, we had a magical year. We went to the Elite Eight. Here's the story behind that. We decided to have a difficult schedule, very difficult. So I'm watching Braveheart one night, about the 15th time I've watched it. And Hamish Campbell says to, I drew a blank, a guy's name. Who's the star? Mel Gibson. He says to Mel Gibson, he says, you can't meet with Lionhearted or whatever the king's name was. You can't go. You can't go. It's a setup. And he says, I've got to. That was like 11 o'clock at night. I go out to my back porch, 11 o'clock at night, and I call Tom Ross, the president of Davidson. I say, Tom, we've got a very difficult schedule next year. We're playing North Carolina State. We're playing Duke. And UCLA called the other day, and they want to play us. You know what Tom says? How much is it going to cost us? Typical president, you know? So we worked out the details, but Tom said you should play that game. And me as a coach, was I trusting myself? Or was I a little bit concerned that we were too difficult of a schedule? Was I trusting our players? Could they handle it? And we decided to play UCLA. Well, we play North Carolina here. We lost by 3. We played Duke. North Carolina was 1 in the country. Duke was 7 in the country, lost by 7 right here in Charlotte. We go to NC State. We go to UCLA first. In Anaheim, we lost by, I think, 9, and we were up by 17 points at one point. So we lost those 3. And then we go to NC State right before Christmas in the RBC Center, where they play their home games. In the locker room, big game. We're 1 point down. Stephen gets a wide open 3 over here, gets hit on the wrist. Teddy Valentine doesn't make the call. The referee has a chance to make the call, and he has the nerve to come by my bench, and he says, I would have called the foul, but he's not good enough to get that call. That's what Teddy Valentine said about Steph Curry in December of 2006. And Teddy's a dear friend of mine. Please understand that. And a very good official. So we lose to NC State. Go home for Christmas. We're 4-6. Oh, my goodness. What the heck? What did I do? Trust. You know what we did? We won 24 straight games after that. 24 straight games. I made one change. I put a guy named Andrew Lovedale in the starting lineup. Andrew Lovedale, if God put him in the Garden of Eden, we'd still be in the Garden of Eden. Let me tell you. And you want to talk about trust, recruiting? All right, I recruited Andrew Lovedale by going to Manchester, England, and it was a time period which you could not watch players play. You could meet with them. The NCAA had the rule you could go meet with them, talk with them, see their family, but you couldn't watch them play. They have these peculiar rules, the NCAA. So I went over to watch him, not play. I watched him sweep the floor. He had a job to pay for his tuition in a private school, Loretto High School in Manchester, which he had to sweep the floor of the gym. I have never seen a guy meticulously sweep the floor like he did, and with joy, sweep the floor. I gave him a scholarship for sweeping the floor. And here he becomes in our starting lineup, and we win 24 straight games. And you know, when I recruited Stefan, everyone says, how the heck did you recruit him? Why did you recruit him? I mean, what? In the summer before his senior year of high school, he's in a tournament in Las Vegas, and no one's at this game. Me, the coach of Liberty, and the coach of Winthrop, we're the only three coaches, and there's 500 coaches in Las Vegas recruiting, and there's only three coaches at this game. And he dribbled the ball off his foot, he shot an air ball, he missed a free throw, he got beat defensively. But you know what? He never stopped playing. He kept going and going and going and going. Played with joy, went to the bench when he was taken out, looked the coach in the eye, never complained to the officials, sat on the bench, got up and cheered his teammates. He checked every box that could be checked. I said, I want that guy on our team. Yeah, he could shoot a little bit, but I want him on his team for the character he has, the work ethic, the toughness, the coachability. I want that guy. So we wound up recruiting him. And it leads to that year, that magical year, 2007, 2008. Guess where our first game was in the tournament? Against Gonzaga. Good Friday, RBC Center, same locker room. Isn't that incredible? Oh, you talk about details. My goodness. And we win the game because with 54 seconds to go, Max misses a shot right here. And there's three Gonzaga players, and a guy from Davidson comes into the three Gonzaga players, rips the ball away from him, throws it out to Steph over here. Steph hits a three-pointer, 74-71 Davidson, we win the game. You know who that guy was? Andrew Lovedale. How about that? You talk about details? Huh. Sunday, Easter Sunday, we play against Georgetown, and we're down 17 points with 17 minutes to go in the game. Early game, it's the first game. You know who's in the other game, the next game that day? To get to the Sweet 16? North Carolina. They play in Arkansas in the second game. So the RBC Center is rocking with Davidson people, and we're down 17 minutes to go. All of a sudden, the Carolina fans come into the arena. Well, what did that mean to us? Well, the year before, Carolina lost to Georgetown in Greensboro, so all the Carolina fans hated Georgetown. So guess who they're cheering for? We had like a whole army of new fans rooting for us. 17-point lead disappears, and guess what happens? We win the game. And boy, I'm a Roman Catholic, but I'm not a Jesuit. And imagine beating two Jesuit schools Good Friday and Easter Sunday. I mean, the Pope was ready to divorce me. So details. But it comes down to trust. Trust. You know, I took this little thing with our players the other day, and I revisited this experience I gave to him. Grant Huffman was a freshman, gathered our team before practice. And I says to Grant Huffman, I said, Grant, how would you like $100 bill? Now, Grant says, is it legal? Typical Davidson student. He says, yeah, I'd like it. Crumple it up. You still want it? Yeah. Drop it on the floor. Stomp it into the ground. Still want it? See, we don't trust ourselves. We're still $100. We're still value, but we don't trust ourselves. Why don't we trust? It's so challenging in our world today. We have anxiety, and we have apprehension, and we have problems because we let other people dictate what we think. We let other people influence who we are instead of coaching ourselves. You know, when you trust, you do things that maybe are counter to our culture, but they're not counter to God's will. In 2004, 2005, we're playing the Citadel at Davidson. One of the players on our team is our son, Matt. And Matt's getting back on defense during the game. And here comes the best player on Citadel, sprinting down the court, big, I mean, a physical specimen. Matt steps in his way. What do you think the call was? Charge. We're playing at Davidson. He takes the charge. Their guy gets his fourth foul, sits on the bench. Their coach sitting at this end of the bench goes, He's a cheater. He's the dirtiest player in the league. When he comes to Charleston, we're going to end his career. This is what the coach said loud. I mean, I heard it. And generally, the father, as well as the coach, hears that about his player. He's going to be pretty upset. But you know what God told me to do? Forgive. And I didn't pray to change him. I prayed to change myself, coach my heart. We played them down at Charleston back in February. Police are there. I mean, it was well documented that this could be a dangerous situation. Nothing happened. But in the wisdom of God, guess who we drew in the first round of the Southern Conference tournament in Charleston? Citadel. And they're beating us at halftime, 9 points, 10 points. Second half, we overtake them. We win the game. Matt had 27 points. Their coach, after the game, got fired. Wow. You have a doubt that there's a God. You have a doubt. What a statement about trust. Second word is commit. Commit. You know, like me, when I went to Davidson, I didn't put 2 feet in the door. I put 1 foot in and 1 foot in Madison Square Garden. That's why we didn't make it. Matt Doherty was a terrific player for us in high school and was a terrific assistant coach. When he was in high school, everyone told him he's going to be an All-American and you're going to be in the NBA someday. You know what he say? He said, I hope so. Not, yeah, I'm going to be in the NBA someday. He didn't commit fully. He didn't put 2 feet in the door because he was this nice little Irish Catholic kid who didn't want to be known as a conceited kid. So he wasn't going to say, yeah, I'm going to be in the NBA. He hoped. Hope. We live in this world that when things go wrong, what do? We take the remote control. Geez, I don't like my wife. I'm going to change the channel. I'm going to get a new husband. It's so easy to change things. We don't stick with it. We don't endure. We don't fight. We surrender. Fight or surrender. You know, there's a very famous player in the Catholic League I played in New York. His name is Lou Alcindor, obviously Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And he goes to UCLA in 68, maybe 67, and he's dunking everything. He's 7-footer and he's dunking everything. NCAA takes away the dunk. Did you know that? There was no dunk in the late 1960s in the NCAA. So what is Lou going to do? Is Lou going to surrender? Is Lou going to fight? Is he going to surrender? You know what he does? He invents another shot. The sky hook. And what did he go down in history famous for? The sky hook. All because of fighting rather than surrendering. Commit. You know, at the banquet in 2009, after Stefan's 3rd year, he stood in front of our fan base of 450, 500 people at River Run and said, thank you. But he also says, and I promise you, I'm going to graduate. I promise I'm going to graduate. He said that in 2009. In 2022, guess what? He graduated. And do you think Stefan got a bigger paycheck because he graduated with that paper from Davidson College? Do you think that really impacted his shooting ability for the Golden State Warriors? No. But he honored a commitment. Just like he did when he came to Davidson. He signed with us in November of 2005. And 2 teams tried to steal him. One is in the SEC, it begins with a G. And one is in the ACC and it begins with a C. They called Sonia in December of that year. Hey, I know we didn't offer him a scholarship during the season, but we got one right now. How'd you like to send Steph to our school? Steph committed to Davidson. Mom, I'm committed to Davidson. I'm going to Davidson. Honor your commitments. Wow. But we get distracted. And all of a sudden the demons come and they say, no, no, no. They tell us, solve this problem right now, doing it this way, instead of having the patience and the prayer. as a history teacher. Julius Caesar conquers Gaul. He returns to Rome with his army. And the Republic in Rome had a rule that you disband your army before you come back into the city. So you could not cross the Rubicon River until you disbanded your army. Caesar became a dictator. He wanted power. He was committed. He rolls the dice. Alia iacta est, the Latin words. He rolled the dice. The die is cast. He crossed the river. Commit. Hernando Cortez, Spanish explorer, conquers Veracruz. The boats land. What does he say? Burn the boats. Burn the boats. We ain't going back. Commitment. My goodness. You know, when you conquer a mountaintop, you don't enter into a world of no more mountaintops. Think about that in your life. What you do when you conquer a mountaintop is you get to see the next mountaintop better. That's all you do. And I got to admit this, I'm a dummy. I'm not very smart. So you know what I do? These are note cards that I would carry in my pocket on game day. And as I'm prancing up and down the sideline, during momentary times, I'd look at these note cards to remind me about what to do. The first heading is leadership in these note cards. And here's what it says. Trust God. He put me on this stage. I am the leader. They need my help. Lead them. Be joyful. Smile. Clap on any mistake. Greet them. Welcome them. Smile them to the bench. Touch them. Pat them on the back. I mean, there's a list of things right here. There's one here. And I have Maggie. Maggie's our oldest granddaughter. Why is Grandpa so grumpy? She would say that to me after a game. So I wrote that down here to remind myself that Maggie said to me, so I can't be grumpy. Then I took it a step further. Comments to the referees. I would have comments to referees. Hey, I thought you missed it, but you hustled. I might disagree with you, but at least you're consistent. How do you think a referee handles that? Instead of me, rah, 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 rah. And then I have comments to the players. Hey, we've been here before. Hey, you've done this 1,000 times in practice. We got them just where we want them. So I took these cards, and you know what? It's created a habit, like I said earlier, about gratitude. You have habits, and now it's created a habit in my life that I keep notes. I have a draft in my computer of the number of times where I have prayed, and that prayer has been answered. That's an incredibly powerful reminder, just like those photos, just like those images you have in your house and in your desk. Third word is care. Care. Love. Will you care about each other, but will you show that you care? You see, when I came to Davidson College, talk about the word trust. I trusted myself. I was confident. But you know what else I was? I was arrogant. And confidence blended with arrogance is a disaster for disease. Instead of confidence and humility, I had arrogance. And I had to learn that. I worked hard. I was committed, but I was consumed. You ever get to that point in your life when you're in your office, you're in your profession, and you're so consumed? Yeah, I'm committed. I'm working hard. You go by the water fountain. You're too busy to talk to people because you got places to go, people to see. You're brusque. You don't got time for people because you're committed, but you're consumed. And then when it comes to care, you know, I really cared about my players. I gave you a scholarship. What more do you want? Well, they wanted my eyes, and they wanted my ears, and they wanted my focus, and they wanted my presence. That's what they wanted. And the only way I could give them that was to show it to them. Just like when you're in that beautiful, idyllic setting and you have that beautiful picture and you send the photo of it to your wife or your husband. Care. You've got to show care. You can't just say, I'm going to care. You got to show it. We played in Stefan's first game. He was awful, just like he was in Las Vegas. But that's why we recruited him, because we knew he'd fight through it. Second game, we played Michigan in Ann Arbor. Scored 32 points in his second college game. You know what he said after the game? You're an 18-year-old kid. You got ESPN, Fox Sports, microphones in your face for the first time. You just scored 32 points against Michigan. I shot the ball really well. I knew I could do this. I was confident. You know what he said? I have to thank Jason Richards for passing the ball to me as much as he did. I have to thank Thomas Sander for setting such great screens. And I thank Max Paulus Goslin because I got beat defensively all game long, but he was behind me, helping me out. Who, as an 18-year-old, has that kind of care to show it on national TV like he did? Not many people know this story, but in 2007, 2008, when we went to the Elite Eight and we're playing North Carolina in the opening game, we're in Charlotte Coliseum practicing the day before. And there's a meeting on the baseline between myself, Del Curry, Steph Curry, and our trainer, Ray Bells. And we're meeting as players are warming up, and we're meeting to decide what Stephen Curry is going to do. Is he going to go to the pro? No. He tore the triangular fibula cartilage in his wrist. He tore it. Steph and Del are asking Ray, what are the alternatives? What can we do here? Well, you need surgery, and you'll probably miss the entire season. Or you could play with pain the whole season and hope it heals. Wear a tape on your wrist. Steph drops his head, looks out onto the court. He says, I see Thomas out there. I see Boris out there. I see Jason. They're seniors. I'm playing in their senior year. Tape it up, Ray. I'm not going to have surgery. And if you watch any games in November, December on YouTube or see replays of it, he's got that tape all over his wrist. And he played with it. And miraculously, it healed. Care? Show you care? Huh. In his junior year, we play Loyola of Baltimore in Davidson. And the coach, he decides he's going to go down in history. You know what he does? He's going to play a style of defense, and he's going to shut Stephen Curry out. Stephen was the leading scorer in the country. All over the news, leading scorer Steph Curry playing against Loyola Baltimore. And their coach devised a game plan called a triangle and two. 3 guys play a zone defense, and the 2 guys playing man-to-man, they both covered Stephen. So Stephen's being guarded by 2 guys, and they've got a triangle guarding all 4 guys. That's not going to work. We scored at will. We're up by 30 points at halftime. You think the coach would change, right? No, he stayed in it. Stephen took 1 shot in the entire game, missed it, didn't score the whole game, but we won by 35 points. But the coach accomplished his goal, but Steph showed how much he cared by not worrying about being leading scorer in the country. And it's a very poignant story. At halftime, we switch ends. So here's our bench, and there's our basket, and Steph stood in the corner. And he made that decision to stand in the corner. He stands in the corner at half court the whole first half, and he stands there in the second half. And it got to be a point like the 14, 15-minute mark. He was really bored. I mean, we're winning. You know what he did? He started eating popcorn from the press table. Steph's eating popcorn in the second half, and we're winning by 30. Show you care. Show you care. We have a very silly thing that we use at Davidson called the spotlight. You know, imagine if I was to unplug the spotlight from over there. Right, Laura? If I throw it to you, Laura, what's going to happen? If I throw the spotlight to Laura, she's going to be in the spotlight. You're going to be in the spotlight. You're going to be in the spotlight. Everyone's in the spotlight. Everyone's in the spotlight, right? But you know what? No one gets burned. If I hold on to the spotlight, what's going to happen to me? I'm going to get burned. And see, that's what we have in life. We all want to hold the spotlight. But yet we don't understand that when we spread the spotlight, everyone gets in the spotlight, but nobody gets burned. And we use this as the basketball. This is our basketball. So I tell our players, you get the basketball, it's a spotlight. So guess what our players do very well? They pass because they think they got the spotlight. Show that you care. Now, we're all more connected than ever. More connected than ever. We know more about everything than we've ever known. And yet look at all the transfers we have in college. They know everything about the school. They make a decision to go to a school and they transfer. Well, it's the same thing with life. We are so tuned in to TV, the phone, the computer. We know nothing. Put the phone down. Turn off the computer. Go talk with people, smile, communicate, be with people. Time, love. Mother Teresa said many years ago, the greatest disease we have is not leukemia or leprosy or cancer. The greatest disease we have is loneliness. The greatest disease we have is wanting to be loved, needed, told that we're worth something. And that's the secret. And you know what the secret of my coaching experience has been? Coaching myself and understanding that. And then the demons strike. And that's where prayer comes in. You see, prayer has given me the green light. It has given me the opportunity to discover joys and beauties of coaching. And let me share personally that prayer life I have. I go to church every day. And we have the great fortune of the Presbyterian Church being right across the street from my house, right on campus. And it's open. The chapel, Lingle Chapel, is open every day. And I'll go in there for 15 minutes and just sit in the chapel and I'll talk to God. And I won't talk in my mind. I'll talk words. I'll converse with him. Now you take that 15 minutes and do that instead of looking at the internet and reading the latest Instagram or latest TikTok. What power that is. It's incredible power. And it's been so uplifting. It's been the green light in my life. I didn't tell you, Steph's two greatest gifts as a basketball player, he has fast twitch eyes. His eye muscles move really fast. He sees not just where the ball is, he sees where the ball's going to be. He also has another incredible gift. He has fast twitch muscles in his ears. He hears quickly. How many times do you go into church and Bob may be the most eloquent pastor, but you get distracted in church? Your ears aren't tuned into what's being said. How many times do you get a message from God and those fast twitch ear muscles are not working? Coach yourself. And let me tell you, prayer is no magic recipe. We're playing the University of Rhode Island in Washington, D.C. on a Sunday to get to the NCAA tournament. So we win the A-10 championship, we get to the tournament. I go to 8 o'clock mass in Washington. It's a 12 o'clock game on ESPN. I go to 8 o'clock mass. Game's about to begin. I walk across center court to go shake Danny Hurley, who won the national championship this year at the Connecticut. I go to shake his hand before the game, as all coaches do. You know what he said to me? Hey, I saw you at mass this morning. We canceled each other out. My dear friend, Rick Barnes, who coaches at the University of Tennessee, they lose to Loyola of Chicago 4 or 5 years ago. Sister Jean. And everyone's praising Sister Jean, the power of Sister Jean. I know Rick Barnes. He is a devout, committed, caring, true Christian. What about my prayers? You know, we see God as a tooth fairy. He's not. God is not a tooth fairy. He wants from us our time, and he wants from us his love. So let me finish with this story. I told you about being confident but arrogant. I told you about being committed but consumed and caring but not showing it. My first years at Davidson, that's the way it was. I neglected our oldest child. She was a great tennis player, beautiful girl. I never went to the Sadie Hawkins dance. I never watched her play tennis. I was too busy. I was going out and getting players. I had places to go, people to see, jobs to do. I never was there. I missed her entire childhood. Can't have that back. In 2011, the Southern Conference tournament was here in Charlotte. And we thought it was a home court advantage for us. So we were pretty excited about it. We had a pretty good team. We could win it. We were very good in the Southern Conference. And we lost. We lost in the first or second round to Elon. And I think we lost on a Saturday. The championship game was Monday, 9 o'clock, ESPN. Monday night, March 7th, I wanted so badly to be in the Charlotte Coliseum. I was in Martha Jefferson Hospital in Charlottesville, Virginia, with Karen, our daughter, as she was giving birth to her first child. You talk about God. The game ended at 11:15 p.m. Maggie Heil was born at 11:25 p.m., and I was there. Wow. So, commit, trust, care. The gifts of time, the gifts of love, use them frequently, but share them frequently. And not just with everyone here, but with God. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Coach McKillop, for sharing your story, sharing such an inspirational message for your time with us. I know we're all walking away from this feeling some sort of inspiration, some sort of things that are going to shape our lives and our days in the time to come. Before we move on our way, I know that some of you may have things that are rumbling around in your minds. We have time for 1 or 2 questions. Following this time, there's a gathering upstairs for those of you who went to Davidson. We encourage conversation then, but for now we have time for 1 or 2 questions. Are there any questions in the group? Blaine, can I give you this microphone so that you can ask your question?
So, Coach, I've heard you talk before about, when you came to Davidson and you were arrogant and, you were kind of cocky and you were maybe deficient on the care component. Was there a Damascus Road moment for you that turned it around?
Yeah, I met the Good Samaritan. That's the Good Samaritan story.
Right.
Time and love. The moment was losing the 3rd straight year and never having lost before. And I threw up my hands, no mas. I couldn't bear it anymore. It was so overwhelming. I had asked my family to move from the comfort of their aunts, their uncles, their grandparents in New York down to North Carolina. And now it was completely in chaos. And I didn't know what to do. And that's why I said God's wisdom is extraordinary. And I sat on that beach in Myrtle Beach and read that book and just decided at that time to adopt those 3 words, but to coach myself in those 3 words. And as I said, we are all coaches. I learned to coach myself. And that then represented what I wanted and believed. And that's why our players were recruited the way they were recruited, lived their lives as Davidson players the way they did, and now live their lives as Steph Curry has shown so marvelously.
Thank you. Are there any other questions at this time? Questions for Coach? Val, I'm going to give you the microphone so that we can hear you. This way people can hear.
That movie, I have 2 that went to Davidson, and that movie that you made about Steph Curry, which
Correct.
was so much more about Davidson, that my son could not believe. I hope people saw that. You might want to mention that. It's just
Yeah.
wonderful.
The movie itself, underrated, and it's on TV Plus. Stefan had two objectives with the movie. One, it needs to be a movie that the whole family can watch together, which it is, except there's a scene with Kevin Durant that's a little bit off color. And the second objective Steph had was he wanted to showcase Davidson. He wears Davidson on his heart. I don't know, there are too many. Where did Kevin Durant go to college? Where did, where did James Harden go to college? Everyone knows Stephen went to Davidson because he has kept Davidson, and your friend Michael Jordan is the same way about North Carolina.
Thank you so much, Coach. Let's join one more time in thanking you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. For those of you who went to Davidson, there was a gathering following this time at 11 o'clock in room 207. We encourage you to join for that and to get an opportunity to speak more with Coach McKillop. Hugh Gaither will be hosting that gathering. We're so grateful for that. And I'm so grateful for each of you for your time here. I'd love to close us in a word of prayer before we go on with our mornings. Let's pray together. Gracious God, we give you thanks for your constant presence in our lives. For the opportunity to learn and to be encouraged by Coach McKillop, we give you thanks. Help us to trust you, to be committed to your works, and to care for your people. Coach our hearts to follow you and to listen for the ways you are calling us. In Christ's name we pray. Amen. Thank you.